How does she do it? She has so much going on, and yet here she comes, family in tow, everyone dressed perfectly, and everyone smiling peacefully. Yep, that is definitely not myself and my family. Typically, here we come, 5 minutes late. McKenna is speed racing in front of us. Me and Haley are right behind. Mike is typically still outside parking the car. I have a messy bun on the top of my head with a smear of mascara and, of course, some eyebrows on. And I have my Trenta Starbucks in hand. That is typically what it looks like when the Dix family arrives somewhere. Yet, as a mom, a homeschooler, a wife, a health coach, and a political activist, I often get asked, how do you do it all? How do you manage it all? Well, the truth is, I'm definitely not perfect, but I have some tips and some tricks that I've learned up my sleeve now that have helped me find a better balance in life. In this podcast, I am excited to share those top tips for achieving better balance with work, family, and self-care. From time management strategies to self-care practices, I will be providing actionable insights that you can apply to your own life. So I'm excited for you to join as I share these top tips that have brought me a little better balance. Today's episode is brought to you by Kelly Jahner-Byrne with the How Company. Are you ready to unleash the confident, successful businesswoman within? Then it's time to meet Kelly Jahner-Byrne. As a mentor and an expert on confidence, Kelly has dedicated her life to helping female entrepreneurs and business owners overcome their fears and reach their full potential. Whether it's imposter syndrome holding you back or just a lack of clarity, Kelly has the tools and the guidance to help you become the best version of yourself. So don't wait any longer. Take control of your future today and become the queen of confidence. Check the show notes to get in touch with Kelly today. Hi, I'm Jenna Dix, and I'm always rambling. Just ask my husband. I have a great family and a pretty cool life, but I'm a recovered alcoholic. That's hard to say, but my goal is to inspire and educate to help others hopefully find life beyond an addiction. I'm all things: sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Getting healthy, momming, and politics. Get offended easily? You better stop listening. There is no point in wasting that Botox by stressing yourself out listening to a podcast. Welcome to Ramblings of an Addict with Jenna Dix. I am so excited to have you joining me for today's episode. These types of tips are my bread and butter. They are what help me keep going despite having a busy life. And one thing I'm relearning rather, this week is when we start to let tips like this slide and we are letting our balance get a little off kilter, life will kind of knock you back into place. It will help remind you in some way, shape, or form, having a balance is important. As you may tell from my voice, I am not feeling the greatest this week, and I think it's because these last couple of weeks I just kept telling myself, it's okay, I know my balance is a little off, I will slow down in a couple weeks and all will be okay. And my body said, nope, you're going to slow down now. And God and our bodies have a way of doing that. And making sure that we are following the tips like I will be sharing today can help with, avoiding being sick and having those moments where the balance just gets so overwhelming. So like I said, I'm excited to dive right in. This is my kind of podcast. This is the type of podcast that back in the day I would listen to, and I still do, truth be told. When I see a podcast about multitasking or better life balance, I'm all in every time. And being more efficient in life is just my jam. So we all have so much to do. Our kids have so much to do. Our spouses have so much to do. Then on top of it, we have so many family things we have to do. So there's no wonder anymore why we are all feeling frazzled on a regular basis. Like I said, I am far from perfect. I said that right in the introduction of today. But these tips, these tricks have helped me and my family stay a little bit more balanced. And it keeps us flowing from one activity to the next with a little bit more peace. Even if we are coming in hot. Like I said, messy bun on top of my head, Trenta coffee in hand as always. But out of respect for you and your busy schedule, we're going to get right to it. 10 tips coming your way. So diving right in. So the first tip I have is having a family calendar. One that everyone who obviously age appropriate can see, right? So obviously my youngest, McKenna, 3 years old, she could care less about the calendar. She doesn't even know how to function it or use it, so it doesn't matter for her. But myself, my husband, and Haley, our oldest, who's 15, live by that calendar. And there's many ways that you can do these. I do suggest in today's time, using a technology-driven method is probably best. My family, we use a Google Calendar that syncs between all of us. Everyone has, their own color, so it's color-coded. I know if I look and I see something green, it's Haley's sports. If I look and I see, something blue, that's Mike. Purple is McKenna, and so on and so forth. If it's gray even, it's just Mike and I. But if it's red, it's the whole family. It's very color-coded so that everyone can look and they can see what's going on very easily. It's also nice because when we're all out and about and doing our thing, we can pop into the calendar and schedule what we need to and see, is this going to impact other people? Is this even possible? I love it even for, I'm at my hair appointment and I go to schedule my next one and I know exactly when I can schedule it because I know what's going on. And in the past, it didn't flow that well. My second tip, and this one is hard, especially for females, I've learned, but learning to say no. It's a simple 2-letter word that toddlers own, yet adults, we suck at it. So back in the day, I did a personal development program, and you may have even done things with her, but her name was she's still present with us, but her name is Shalene Johnson, and she does a lot of personal development things, and I did a program with her, and when she talked about learning to say no, learning to really own your calendar, she kind of coined this response, and it does work. I've used it plenty myself. But whenever anyone asks her, or what she coaches people, whenever they ask you something like, hey, can you do this? Or can you go to this? Or can you create, this by this date? Hey, that sounds awesome. Let me check my schedule and get back to you. It's a nice way that you can still weigh in. You let them know that sounds like an awesome thing, but I have to really weigh it out in my schedule. I have to check things out. And that way you can dive in and see if it's going to impact anyone else in the family. Because especially once we do get to that point where we do have families, we need to remember our decisions when we're saying yes to things. It's not just impacting us anymore. I've learned that the hard way plenty of times where my family is completely stressed out because I've said yes to too many things. Give yourself that breath. Give yourself that pause. I have learned that in our schedule, it's important that, yes, the must-dos, the non-negotiables, whatever you want to call them, they have to be on your calendar. But there is a necessity of white space or empty space in your calendar as well. And I didn't always used to be great at respecting that. If I saw white space, I was like, yes, opportunity for more. And that's not good for anyone, myself included. So you need to learn that you can say no to things and you can do it in a polite way. Let me check my schedule and get back to you. You're not on the hot spot anymore. That person might even forget that they asked you. And even if they don't, you can be polite and get back to them and just simply send hey, I checked my calendar. It's not going to work, unfortunately. Tip number 3. So you need to really sit down and ask yourself, what is important to me in my schedule or in our list of events that we are supposed to be doing? If it's not important to you, skip it. Some people will use the whole idea that, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. I've said this before in other videos I've done, but not a ton of things in my life are hell yeses, right? There's a lot of things I do that I'm like kind of lukewarm about, but I'm like, I know I should. But I still do it anyway, even though it's not a hell yes. What you need to really ask yourself is this important to me? If the answer is not at all, don't do it. Don't go. Stop saying that you have to do it because other moms do it. Or you have to go do that because it was important to, a tradition or something of that sort. So an example that I have is, it took me I would say this took me probably a good 3-4 years to be able to say, but I'm the type of mom that I'm just like, cooking meals for my family doesn't really excite me. That's not how I show love. And some moms out there right now are cringing because they're like, what? Food is love. No, not for me. Like, my family eats every day. We eat full meals every day. They're not like gourmet, top-notch meals by any means. Sometimes it's literally I throw a 90-second rice pack into the microwave and some chicken breast, or rather, more honestly, rotisserie chicken from Costco that I've shredded. I'll just mix it with the rice and hand it to them with a veggie. Still healthy, but it's definitely not like cooked with love or anything of that sort. But that is not where I want to prioritize my time, right? I know other moms who are like, some moms are great, like on the PTA and helping with the school stuff, and I just could care less. Okay, cool. Buy like a pack of cookies from Costco and, donate it to the next event. You still give your TLC and show you care, but you're not having to dedicate time and attention to things that you're just like, I could care less, right? You have niches of focus in your momming, in your parenting that are going to be great. You don't have to try to dial in on things that you're like, I am so not good at this. Tip number 4, ask for help. This one's hard, but this one, it's been a thing forever. They say it takes a village, and that's because back in the day, the whole village came together, right? And now here we are, some hundreds of years later, thinking, I have to be super mom. And there's no reason that we need to, because as far as I know, unless I'm missing out on something, and maybe I haven't earned it yet, there's no supermom trophy, right? There are people in your mom tribe, or there are family members that you can reach out to. And if we continue to try to do it all, that is when we get depleted. And truth be told, that's when we get bitchy. That's when we start to nag. That's when we start to get annoyed by every little thing. So start to ask for help, even if that means asking the family that you live with, delegating things to them. Tip number 5, learn that you are not locked into things. If you say yes to something, maybe you didn't follow, tip number, I believe it was 2, and you didn't say no. And you're like, oh, crap, I do not want to do this. You can back out of things. As long as you're not doing it on a complete regular basis, because we all know that person. We're like, oh, do not trust so-and-so. If they say yes, they will not do it. Those people drive us all bananas. Don't be that girl. Don't be that mom or dad. But do know that if you commit yourself to something and you're just like, crap, this is not working, I cannot do this, that is okay. I recently did this. I committed to helping with Awana at church on Wednesdays, and I really do want to help. But schedule-wise, I'm just like, I need that hour and a half-ish every week, especially the week that I'm also teaching, a study group for church a different night. I'm taking a lot of time. I just couldn't do it. So I talked to the leader and I just said, hey, balance-wise, I need to back out of doing this every other week. I can do it twice a month. I cannot do it every single week. There were as far as I know, her and I have chatted just fine. But there's no hard feelings. She was totally understanding. People get it. And if you're, like I said, not doing it on a regular basis, totally okay. Tip number 6 is schedule time with the family. Set it up like an appointment in your calendar. A lot of times, in addition to letting our own time go for self-care, which we'll get there in a few tips, the other thing to go is family time. So make sure you're scheduling time with your kids, time as a whole family, time with your significant other. Schedule that time in just like it's a doctor's appointment and you cannot cancel it. Because that time is key. Tip number 7, put reminders in some type of device or method that works for you. I know some people that live by the reminders in their Google or their Outlook calendar. I know some people who use their Alexa for reminders. I use my Apple Watch. I set reminders on there throughout the day. For things that you're like, I do not want to forget about this, but in the hustle and bustle of my day, they totally slip my mind because they're not do or die items, but they are important to me priority wise, right? So, for example, I have reminders that go off on my watch a few times a day, including reminders to pray. I have reminders to do a deep breathing minute just to kind of get balance into my day. I have a reminder to make sure that I've given Mike's a solid chunk of time for the day, and same with chunks of time for the girls. Tip number 8, daily schedule. You need to make sure that you're dedicating time the night before to creating your schedule for the following day. Block it out hour by hour. So hey, this is my day exactly tomorrow. It helps, number 1, with not wasting time. Because a lot of times I'd be like, I know I have so much to do. But if I didn't block it out, I would find myself scrolling on my phone or just kind of messing around. And then all of a sudden it gets to 6 o'clock and I'm like, crap, I didn't do half of the stuff I wanted to do. So make sure you're blocking it all out. Your meetings, your homeschool time if you're a homeschooler, your showering and getting ready time, your playtime with the kids, your time for you to play on your phone or mess around on your phone. Otherwise, we're on there all the time just scrolling. Get down in the nitty-gritty with it so that you know exactly what your day's flow is going to be. And if something does ebb and flow, it flexes, obviously we roll with it. But having an outline brings more peace, not only the day of, but the night before as well. Tip number 9 is practicing your self-care. Taking time for yourself is not a luxury, even though so many people act like it is. It is necessary because self-care is honestly what fills your cup. And as everyone and their mama now says with this one, right? If your cup is empty, how are you supposed to pour into others? And as a parent, that's key. We need to be able to pour into others. Self-care looks different for every single person. But I'm going to go on a tangent here for just a second, kind of a soapbox. I'm kind of a hard ass when it comes to basic self-care things. Things that cannot be skipped. When you are skipping the basic pieces of self-care, hygiene, that's not okay. Those are not luxury items. One of my self-care items that I do every day is I shower twice a day. Yep, I use a lot of water. And I guess, well, at least I'm Republican, right? But I shower twice a day, once to get myself mentally feeling ready for the day. I just feel more put together. And then at the end of the day, I like to wash it off. I don't want to climb into my bed with all that dirt and grime from the whole day on my sheets. Like, that just grosses me out. But it also gives me, because I shower fast. It's not like I take forever to shower. It's like a 5-minute in and out, unless I do my hair. But it gives me like 5 minutes to relax. My brain can just kind of chill. And truth be told, 5 minutes or not, the amount of thoughts that I've had populate while I'm showering is unreal because it's a quiet moment in my day, which is rare. And I can tell you there were a few showers, especially when Mac was a baby, that weren't super quiet because I didn't care, baby or not. I buckled her up so she was safe in a swing or in a bouncer. But she would scream her head off, and I would peek out to make sure, like, okay, is she okay at least? Yeah, she's pissed, but is she okay? But I at least got my shower in, right? That was me taking care of me. And as mom, I was like, that's a must do. I don't care. And people can get judgy on this one. I don't really care. I did me, and that's all that matters. Because we need to do the basics. Hygiene are non-negotiables. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox. But back to self-care luxury type of items. So you need to find what your type of self-care is. It truly does vary from person to person. And for a while, I really did struggle with this because, my addiction of alcohol was my self-care, or so I thought. And alcohol can definitely tie in the aspect of like, hey, I'm going to go have a glass or two of wine with my girlfriend, or I'm going to sit in a hot bubbly bath and have a glass of champagne or something of that sort. But obviously there is a careful balance that needs to happen with that, right? But self-care, you need to find those items that bring you peace in your day, whether it's more of the girly type things like, spa days or taking a warm, bubbly bath, girls' nights. But you can do things like, hey, I got to go work out. Like, that is my de-stressor. I'm going to go shoot guns. I'm going to go to the gun range. I'm going to go hiking. You need to find the things that fill your cup. And my final tip for you today, remembering that priorities shift. And we need to make sure that our to-dos and our schedules are matching that. And this is hard for a lot of people, me included. But sometimes in life when those priorities are shifting, it's important to remember that sometimes things that did get a fair amount of attention before won't anymore, right? We need to remember, hey, if a priority shifted, God wants us focusing on that important priority. And this could fit a lot of different things. And I'm going to leave it very general because I don't want to customize it to fit one area. Because you need to be able to give yourself permission that, hey, I do not need to be dedicating so much time to XYZ anymore because now, 1, 2, 3 is important instead. So as we wrap up today, I want to thank you so much for popping in and listening, even with my really cool, I have a cold voice. But I want you to remember that as a busy mom, you are doing an amazing job. We balance so many roles, so many responsibilities. It is not easy. It is not easy at all. There's some days it drives us all bananas. But with some tips, with some tricks, we can find better balance. Remember to prioritize what is important. And don't be afraid to say no to those non-essential things. We want to learn to delegate when appropriate and when it's possible. We want to know that we don't need to feel guilty about it when we do delegate. And remember that taking care of ourselves is not a luxury, especially those hygiene things. So take some time to recharge and refresh and keep up the amazing work. Don't forget to check out the show notes for more information on the How Gal, Kelly Jahner-Byrne, and become the best version of yourself for business with her tools and her guidance. Her information is in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Ramblings of an Addict with Jenna Dix. Remember, if you are battling an addiction, reach out for help and support. There are many resources available to assist in your journey towards recovery. Surround yourself with a supportive community and never give up on the path towards a healthier and happier life. I appreciate you taking the time to listen and joining me on this journey. As you heard, I'm always rambling. But seriously, thank you for your support and make sure to subscribe and follow my channel. I can't wait to share more with you on the next episode. Until then, keep on rambling. If you have found this podcast helpful and want to dive deeper into personal growth and self-improvement, be sure to head over to my website, jahner-byrne.com. You'll find a wealth of resources there. There is a little less drugs, sex, and rock and roll these days, but whether you're interested in getting healthy, information on momming or parenting, or politics, jahner-byrne.com has something for everyone. So, what are you waiting for? Head to jahner-byrne.com today and start your journey towards personal growth and self-awareness. See you there.